Welcome! Confessions of a Public Mural Artist. This is the Wellington Art Society, and it is April 14th, a Wednesday evening, with our virtual online presentation. Let's start off with my latest mural working with the Downtown Development Authority, the DDA. I did this in my home on the patio in the coldest weather. It was like Christmas. I had 10 days to work on this project. And it was so important to get rid of 2020 and welcome 2020. And they placed it for New Year's Eve by the Christmas tree. And there's a Hanukkah menorah right over here. And I did not go New Year's Eve to see it, but I went the next night. And I was just thrilled to see how nice it looked. Before I even get started with anything tonight about murals, I want to talk about another very important project that I did just 1 year ago. It was called Alone Together, a Corona Crisis Collage. And everything got shut down March 15th, as we all know. And within a week, I was tired of cleaning out the closets and I was going crazy in the house. My dog had passed away, I was all alone. And I had this idea, I have to get everyone working. I have to connect everyone. I have to connect Art Deco people and Art in the Alley people and my public artist friends. And I came up with this idea because I did not want to be alone, but we were together. So I made a sketch and I ordered a canvas. Online was great, right? We not only do we know about Zoom tonight, but we learned about Amazon, right? It's not just for television. You can order anything and it will come to our home. So I set up my art show screens with the legs. It took up the entire living room, as you can see. And I went to work. I put masking tape and I used the word together. And it's important to see the process because things just don't happen. When you're a graphic artist and things look perfect, they don't start off perfect. Many changes and corrections. So, people were dying of COVID and I created this mural to get everyone together, but to honor those who we lost. And I started collecting headlines, 2 months worth of headlines. And one was more horrific than the next. But this one right here, the creative will survive. That really was a deep mantra for me. So not only did I collect them, but then I printed them and then I cut them out. And I teach collage at Old School Square, mixed media collage on Tuesdays from 1 to 4 p.m. online. It's fabulous. And we just finished our last term. We're starting a new one next week. 4-week session. Anyway, so how do I collage these? Well, COVID was like a horrific hurricane, like a storm. So I put them diagonally. And I placed them 14 inches apart because we were just learning about the 14 days of quarantine. So these lines are 14 inches apart. And it would have been so easy to just collage on top of that. But I got some rigid foam from Home Depot, they delivered. And I cut out the word alone. And everything was toilet paper, right? Toilet paper was in demand. So I got my toilet paper tubes for recycling. I do a lot of recycling art. And I made 2 rows and I painted heaven. And I wanted to socially distance the mural. How do you do that? Well, you separate. So I wanted to put these letters that I was cutting out far away from the canvas, 6 inches deep. And I wanted to, socially distance. So I used foam squares. I cut the foam and I made little piles. I call them spacers. And I put them on the back of these big letters I cut out. And here they are painted, even though no one was going to see the back. And even though no one actually even saw the installation, it had to be perfect. So this is the back of them with the spacers. And then I put out this call to artists, to public artists. Send me something that had meaning to you, something either that you're creating now or a memory. And I got 113 artists to submit 164 6-inch squares. Of course, I had to reformat them. They all came in the wrong size and the photograph wasn't good or whatever, but I became intimate with all of these images. In fact, Elaine Weber, one of your members, is in here. If I see hers, it was a leaf pattern. Let's see Elaine's pieces. All right, we must have passed that, Elaine. Let's see. There we are. Here's one from Elaine Weber. Thank you. But 113 artists. I mean, I was on the computer day and night, corresponding and phone calling and connecting, so I didn't feel so alone. Anyway, I printed out samples. First I made a sample, and then here's the real thing where I started gluing on the image directly onto the letters. I mean, this is my house. I mean, it took over everything. As you can, I have a second floor, but I brought the computer down, I brought the printer down, and for 3 months I worked on this project, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. And here we see images being printed. And on June 10th, wow, just almost a year ago, it was installation day. Here's a wide angle photo. I loaded up the car, everything had to be wrapped, you know, foam is very delicate. And I went to the Cultural Council and they let me paint on the wall an addition because this was 18 feet, but we had so many submissions, it was another 10 feet, it came out to 30 feet. There's the toilet paper tubes. And here's the finished project. Alone Together 2020, the socially distant mural installation by Sharon Koskoff that no one has gotten to see yet. It was such a beautiful space because of the reflection in the floor and the lighting, and the wall just actually fit perfectly a 30-foot mural. Again, I mean, I only saw it for the few minutes that we installed it. And then I went back and did do some video. So here you can see that the letters are floating. I mean, look how you can see the distance. Look at this one. Florida has 2 deaths. I mean, it's the headlines are just so scary. But we made the Palm Beach Post and the Shiny Sheet, and we had some wonderful press. So public art can be seen by all, and it creates a dialogue in the community. That's what public art is about. But sometimes, and often, it can create controversy. We think of Diego Rivera, married to Frida Kahlo. He was known to be a communist. Now, these little figures here are a portrait of Lenin. And he was commissioned to do this piece by John Rockefeller for Rockefeller Center in New York. And the day before the opening, this is called Man at Crossroads, 1933, right here, when John D. Rockefeller heard that there were communists, he had the mural painted over.
Ah.
Now, Diego went back to Mexico and painted the exact mural again in Mexico City, which some 40 years ago, I went and I saw it in person. So it does exist, but it's not in New York. So what's also going on around that time? Howard Carter discovered King Tut's tomb in 1922. I just came back from Egypt recently. The International Exposition des Arts Décoratifs et Industriels Modernes, the Machine Age, the Straight Line, Paris 1925. Now think about it, this is 2021. So in 2025, Art Deco will be celebrating 100 years. In 1968, we look back at this international exposition and we said, Arts Décoratif, Art Deco. Let's just call everything Art Deco from 1925 to 1939 when World War II began and factories started producing mass production, you know, for the war. So I started painting murals at age 14. This is the first mural I ever did. My sister was married. These were my parents. She had a little baby. He's now 50. And I just took some masking tape and I bought some red and black paint. This was my husband. These are the only pictures I have. Anyway, I went back home and I painted a mural in my bedroom. Little did I know that this steps, this pyramid, this zigzag would be almost the whole basis for Art Deco. And everything was olive green in the 60s, of course. Hold on, please. Off. Hold on one moment. So sorry. So I was using the straight line and masking tape. Here's an abstract skyline in New York. These are very, very early Sharon Koskoff murals, but I like to paint really big things. And if you'll notice, not just one wall, but on the next wall and on the next wall and on the next wall. There's no boundaries when you're painting a mural. Only, the boundary of your client who says, all right, enough already, or too many walls. So I started to do rounded corners, which we call streamline modern. How do you do that if masking tape is straight? Well, what you do is you actually hand cut. You put a lot of tape on the wall, and with a razor blade, you hand cut. But how did I get the black lines? I had to paint the entire wall black, then put on the masking tape, and then paint the wall in the terracotta and the grays. Now we learned a little bit about what is Art Deco right here. Art Deco works in groups of threes. 1, 2, 3. When I spoke in France and I don't speak French, I would say un, deux, trois. But here we have also stripes are called racing bands. So we already are learning about Art Deco, rounded corners, groups of threes, straight line, racing stripes. Here's another mural. We were leaving the earth tones around the 80s now, and everything was like gray and pinks and purples, really Art Deco kind of colors, the pinks and grays. And when I moved to Florida, everything became peach and green. And my mother had wanted that mural that I painted for my sister with the train. So I kind of did this with the triangular roof. So when I got my own apartment, before I moved to Florida, I had this one ceramic Art Deco deer planter. So I made my bedroom, of course, with the straight lines and the tape. So how do you make a circle? Well, you just draw it with a string and you paint it in. And then of course I freehand this just to match this deer in my bedroom. Now my collection has grown considerably. It's all over the house. Art Deco ceramics from the 30s, 40s, 50s. So when I still lived in New York, I was a member of the Art Deco Society of New York. I worked with them on the Chrysler building in this program. And we see here the Chrysler building. So everything in Art Deco is masculine and futuristic and modern. And we'll see an eagle, which is a very strong animal. And here we'll see the 1, 2, 3, and we see that stepping up that we learned about. In the distance is the Empire State Building, which was also the tallest building, of course, at the time. When I lived in New York, my company was called New York Needlecraft, and I made a living by hand painting needlepoint canvas. This is a trade show. And you see here, I was really doing a lot of Art Deco modern designs. So this is what a needlepoint looks like, and I'll teach people how to do different stitches and to make it more creative. And in New York, everything I drew, I just signed by Sharon. When I moved to Florida and technology grew, and you needed a website, nobody would know how to spell Sharon Koskoff. So bysharon.com was my website and still is. To this day, I still draw needlepoints. People send me pictures, and now, of course, I sign it bysharon.com. But I'll put in an American flag. Everything is custom and very unique. I mastered color theory at the New York School for Interior Design in 1977. So this is a painting, not a mural. How do we know? Because it has all this detail. You would never put so much detail in a mural. You know, you do things very big and to scale. You learn about scale. But when you live in New York, you paint New York skylines. And when you move to Florida, you paint purple palm trees because you can, because purple is not the color of a palm tree. I like to do a lot of warm and cool. So here we see the warm background of red, orange, and yellow, and we'll see the border, the blue, green, and purple. So when I moved to Florida, everyone said, you have to meet Barbara Capitman, the queen of Art Deco. I called her up. I said, I don't know. I was a member of New York Art Deco Society. They said I should call you. And she said, come down, send $25 membership. And the rest is history. I became the Duchess of Deco. The mayor of Miami gave me a big award for starting the Art Deco Society of the Palm Beaches, the ADSPB. And I learned everything from Barbara about Streamline Modern Art Deco. Streamline Modern is the absence of man's idiosyncratic embellishment. And she showed me this picture of the San Francisco Museum and taught me very simply, So we know Art Deco is 1, 2, 3. And here we see 1, 2, 3. We see the rounded corners. Flat roof is very important. Here below here we see a ship. We see the top view, and we see how it steps up. We see a flat roof. We see portholes are Art Deco. We'll see glass block, and here we see the stepping up of the pyramid again. And I said, okay, I will go and discover the Art Deco in Palm Beach County. And then I wrote my first book, Art Deco of the Palm Beaches, that documents all of our incredible, significant architecture. And what did I discover? Well, I made this Jazzman painting, which became our logo. This is in the Palm Beach Post, one of my first big articles, a preservationist, educator, author, mural artist. And I made some serigraphs, which are silk screens. I had a friend in Boca, she was a Boca babe. Her name was Drusilla. And then I made this other one of Drusilla, but I put black hair. And I made the iconic Jazzman, which became our Art Deco logo. But what I discovered about Palm Beach County Art Deco is that our arts institutions, like the Armory Art Center, are housed in Art Deco buildings. And this is a very famous picture. This was an actual National Guard armory built in 1939 by William Manley King. And I got everyone together and we painted the building. And we used secondary colors of green, purple, and orange, 1987. And let's take a look. We see it stepping up. We see, this is called fluted ribbing. Now this is very important. I don't know if you can see, it's called an eyebrow. It is a flat, linear plane over a window or a doorway. And of course that is to keep the sun out. So its form follows function is an Art Deco element. This of course is an old picture because they have new clear glass doors. And this is what it looks like today. There's a much better shot of the eyebrow. Also, the relief of the word armory was very popular to tell you in the Art Deco era, what's going on in this building? It's an armory. And this is what the picture looks like in my book. Here we'll also see the 1, 2, 3. We'll see what I call down, up, down, or I call it up, down, up, where we form triangles. One of the occasions they were having a big event, I said, well, it would be very nice if the bathrooms look good. So I just quickly sponged the bathrooms and did an Art Deco border around the bathroom in the women's room. They had some major fundraising called Dancing on the Red Planet, which is Mars. And what we did in the big drill hall room, the big gymnasium room of the Armory Art Center, I bought 100-foot rolls of plastic. This was carpeting on the walls. And we stapled like a canvas, 100 foot, and painted murals on all 4 walls. And these were big sculptures to look like Mars. And then they had, you know, dining and dancing. But this is just one of the fundraisers. I did about 6. Oh, here's another one. One was called, they wanted like comic books, which I'm not really into comic books, but pop art, that sounded like fun. So we did Roy Lichtenstein. I did 6 murals. Here's just one. And we called it Batman's Cave. Of course, here I'm dressed as the Joker. And outside the Armory, we had kids, the kids, students do all these architectural skylines for Bruce Wayne's mansion. So I worked a lot with the kids. I taught kids at the Armory Art Center for 15 years. I brought them to Good Samaritan Hospital in West Palm, and we painted a mural in the kids' wing. We painted these very large wooden panels. Clematis Street is our downtown West Palm Beach area. And we created this mural. And it was a temporary construction mural to block the windows of a building under construction. And I remember being there for music on Clematis Street one night, and there was a fire, and the firemen came in, and I was there watching this burn a little bit. I brought the kids to the South Florida Science Museum. She's also all grown up. This is little Kelly here in this picture. And we did under the water fish, and then the land, and all the way up to the observatory. But it wasn't the first time I'd worked at the South Florida Science Museum and Aquarium. I brought the kids and we did this whole series of dinosaurs. Of course, I like to change colors, so we did a whole rainbow thing. And we did dinosaurs again in the early child center years later, where we did this dinosaur. And we started off welcoming the children, and then we did under the water, on the land, and in the sky, and the dinosaur. And just recently, I took this warehouse room. I love to really change spaces, where you take something that looks like this, and you start painting, and you paint some more. Whoa, I missed that picture. All right, we missed the final picture there. Sorry, folks. Help, go back, go back, go back. Well, it came out quite lovely, and we painted all 4 walls in the water reel. Maybe it'll show up in a few more slides. Okay, so still with dinosaurs, it's 2 years already because nothing happened this year. The South Florida Science Museum got a gift from FP&L, which is Florida Power and Light. And we went up to the Rivera FP&L work area. That's like a real closed-in zone. And they showed me this pieces of dinosaur. And they said, can you paint this? Sure, we can paint this. So I needed to test it though, what kind of paint would really stick for a public sculpture that would be outdoors forever. So they brought the head into this work area, this work zone. It was called the spray booth box. They thought I was gonna spray paint it, which we were not. First thing we did, I painted inside the mouth. Look how real that looks. With oil base, only to find out, no, I wasn't going to use oil base anymore. I like to use water bases, much more suitable to me. But there it was, you know, almost at eye level. And they're the FP&L people. So you're working in public art, you have to answer to a lot of people. And they're the people going, well, what color are you going to paint that? And I said, well, you know, it's been approved. They want, you know, a dark brownish red. Well, it's not going to be pink. No, it's not going to be pink. Well, it turned out it was so funny because when you prime red, you always use some pink as a base. So we started laughing. We really did paint it pink, although that was not the final coat. We have some volunteers here. We have good mural artist friend Sharon Koskoff. And we left that day feeling very good about how the dinosaur was going to go. So they wound up pouring this foundation. This is a South Florida Science Museum and Aquarium in West Palm Beach. They put the whole thing together. And we called out for the Art in the Alley volunteers, which is a Delray-based group, which we'll talk about later. And here's Sharon Koskoff. You know, this is very physical work. And how often do you get to say, I painted a 30-foot tall dinosaur? Well, it's Friday and we're gonna paint all weekend. Help. I had to know how to back it in every night into the driveway and lock it up. Well, we managed, you know, I didn't sleep that night, I'm sure, but we all got together and we got people on the ground, we got ladders, we were looking down, and we got Steve Browse here, we got Christos, and everybody had so much fun. It was just too much fun. It was just a wonderful experience, and people would come by and watch us painting, and then a piece was missing, they lost a piece. And Sharon's company, Pineapple Grove Designs, was able to fabricate this. And so we all not only painted a public art, but we repaired the sculpture. We signed at artinthealley.org. And here we are, they did beautiful landscaping, mulch and plants. In fact, they covered up the whole tail because the kids would jump on the tail. But here we are all laughing and smiling. Then they had a wonderful opening, invited school children. There I am taking pictures. There's Sharon Koskoff. And they had this giant gold, you know, reveal. Of course, if you go there now, Rosie's wearing a mask. This is, here we go, the Science Museum there. She's right there in the front. So another Art Deco building, it turns out, is the Norton Museum of Art. And we can see here, the building is 3 sections. This is the old postcard from the 1940s, built by Wyeth and King in 1941. We see the flat roof, and we see 2 sculptures. by Paul Manship, who is an Art Deco artist. We see Diana and Actaeon. And we see here the little stepping up pyramid. We see the fluted ribbing. We see the masculine woman shooting her arrow because he saw her naked. So she had to kill him. And what happened was when she shot the arrow into her boyfriend, his own hounds turned him into a wolf, and they eventually mauled him to death. So this is Paul Manship, his interpretation. And we know Paul Manship because he did the iconic Prometheus fountain that you see every day on TV at 9 o'clock in the morning, NBC at Rockefeller Center in 1934. So the Norton Museum of Art has 2 Paul Manship sculptures. Above those sculptures are 3 relief. Remember, we said that relief tells you what's going on in the building. Well, here we see inspiration, imagination, and interpretation. And I did not know, nobody knew that really that Paul Manship did these until I wrote my book. When you write a book, you really research and document and get the facts. So I made this painting. This is my interpretation of Paul Manship's interpretation. It's hanging right here next to my other painting. And the Norton Museum even invited me to do a demonstration to their audience where I did a pastel while everyone watched. And it was called Mural in Motion, and it looks like I was in motion. And here's all my pastels. Also, in the year 2000, they said, Sharon, could you do another mural with the kids? And I said, well, what kind of mural do you want? And they said, something multicultural. And I said, multicultural is great, but you're an art museum. Why don't we do treasures of the permanent collection? And they went, yeah. So here we see Ruby Green, which is one of their outstanding paintings. We see Matisse and Andy Mural, Andy Warhol, the Chinese collection they're so proud of, Cézanne, other modern arts. They had a huge blockbuster event in 1999, Angels from the Vatican. And here I have a picture. I made this big wooden panel where you put your face in and you're one of the angels. And it was my mom's birthday. And there's Mom. I took a picture of her. But here they wanted modern day angels, like the Guardian and the Love Stamp. And people who answer the phone, healthcare professionals, are all our modern day angels. Now, the Norton Museum, of course, is just reopened, and it's they've done a huge renovation, but their lobby, their old lobby, used to be rotating murals. This is Terry Haggerty in 2014. Wow, I use masking tape, right? I could have done that, but lovely, just beautiful. Clearly, it's done with masking tape. And notice the iconic terrazzo floor. Terrazzo was a very important element in Art Deco, which you see a lot in Miami, terrazzo floor, and a lot of terrazzo floor in Lake Worth in historic homes. Nicolene Thomas did this collage in 2017. Now, she also painted on top. So some of it's painting, some of it's color, but she's really a very well-known artist. She's hot right now. Nicolene Thomas, you can Google her. She's done great stuff. Okay, now in Lake Worth, which is now called Lake Worth Beach, the Lake Theater by Roy A. Benjamin in 1939, we see is also an Art Deco building. And it's one of my favorite Art Deco buildings in Palm Beach County. And we see the rounded corner, the flat roof, we see the little stepping up, and here we'll see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And we'll see some glass buckets, rounded corners. These are fluted ribbings. And they no longer have the marquee. This is what it looks like today. Now this building, we didn't need to paint up. This building is fabulous, just, minimalist white with lighting. And sometimes they change different color lights in the building. But it's now our Cultural Council of Palm Beach County. And right in front of the building is a fire hydrant. I was part of a group, we painted fire hydrants in oil-based paint. Believe me, it takes so long to paint something three-dimensional. And I just restored it for the Cultural Council's 40th anniversary recently, because it was a little need of repair, thanks to some dog lovers. Of course, I did a female merchant marine. So this is what the Lake Worth Playhouse looks like. So we're still in our arts buildings, right? The Cultural Council has a gallery for free that you can go into. And if you haven't been there, they have rotating exhibits. Their biennial just opened up. And this is 1 block away at 713 Lake Avenue in downtown Lake Worth. So here we see the flat roof and the bandings. This is not Art Deco. This is just an awning. But we see the Lake Worth, the Art Deco lettering, which is thick and thin. And this is what it looks like today. They asked me to design their they asked me to design a marquee. And I said, we're going to make it neon. And they said, oh, you can't do that. And I said, oh yeah, we're doing that. Neon was invented in the Art Deco era. And the neon is like the gateway to the downtown. And of course, it looks fabulous. It looks like it's always been there. And we made a triangular marquee, and we changed the logo to the sun and the geometry. And it was painted yellow. Yellow is, of course, the new color. All buildings are yellow, yellow-orange, yellow-green. Yellow is very strong now. And the rich blue contrasting neon. Okay, the Society of Four Arts in Palm Beach, which is not West Palm Beach, it's Palm Beach where Mar-a-Lago is. Society of Four Arts by Albert Herder, the murals in 1939, a WPA progress, murals. And they were just restored just recently in 2018. And these are outdoors to the King Library. So you can just drive by and see these anytime. The four arts are drama and art and music and literature. I worked there for 3 years. I was the group tour leader in the museum. They have a museum, they have a library, they have a studio space, they have the Philip Hulatar Gardens that you could walk through. It's a lovely place in Palm Beach. Okay, and of course, Whitehall, the Henry Flagler Museum in Palm Beach is not Art Deco. However, they do have some murals in there. They have 13 murals from the Gilded Age, the rich age. So this is before Art Deco. So before Art Deco was feminine. Notice how feminine and dreamlike these murals are. How you know, swirling and, you know, women just floating. So these are on the ceiling. Here's another one, very feminine. The women's clothing is just fluid, and this is more to the Romantic era, more towards the Art Nouveau era, that Art Deco, masculine and straight line, revolted against. The Boca Raton Museum of Art, if we head to South Palm Beach County, has Al Held Mantegna's Edge, 1983. This is a big canvas, 14.5 feet by 55 feet. And you go there, it's hanging in their main lobby high up. And I of course, because I love the straight line and the depth of this piece is wonderful. The colors of this piece is wonderful. But what's really amazing to me is when I was in Brooklyn College, my sculpture teacher, I majored in sculpture, honor sculpture and honor photography. My sculpture teacher was Sylvia Stone, who was married to Al Held. So every day, you know, you're in class and, you know, she'd say, oh, I made chicken for Al last night and he just loved it, you know. And now I come to Boca and I go, wow, there's an Al Held. So I really feel personal to this piece. In their lobby, kind of reflecting the way the Norton Museum was doing lobbies, although this is permanent, not rotating. We have Jose Alvarez in the Boca Raton Museum of Art lobby. Now this is printed on paper from a computer, not hand-painted mural. So you could say it's like wallpapered onto the wall. And on my 65th birthday, January 24th, they asked me to give a lecture for the exhibition entitled Imagining Florida, History and Myth in the Sunshine State. There I am with Patty Peters and another Sharon Nottingham and from the Boca Museum. So what they were showing in that exhibit were murals from our post office on Summit Boulevard by Stephen Dohanis. There were 6 panels and this was highlighted. You can go right now when you're paying your taxes, you can mail them at the Summit Boulevard up until midnight, I believe May 17th now, and see this mural in person, which reminds me of the downtown Lake Worth post office that's also open in their lobby at all times by Joseph D. Myers. It says here 1946, depicting how treacherous it was to work for the post office with the alligators and how they were really taking their life. We have one of our stories is the barefoot mailman who died while delivering the mail in Palm Beach County. In the Boynton Beach Women's Club, we have a Bernard Thomas. So we're seeing that all of these public spaces enjoy murals and kind of reflect the history or the times, or what we call site specific. Here clearly is showing a beautiful garden and ocean of Palm Beach. And in Palm Beach, there's a Publix, which is a shopping grocery store. And they had these mosaic murals by Lee Olson, which are no longer there. They also went under a beautiful redevelopment of the Publix. But what they did, there are 4 of these murals. They took a picture and they made posters and they hang inside the Publix in Palm Beach. And you're not allowed to take pictures in Publix, although I do have some pictures, but this is outdoors. Another story about Publix is Boca Raton Publix, Patty Mills. She has done over 200 ceramic tile murals throughout the state of Florida on all of the Publix. A lot of them still exist. Some have been torn down, but they're still around. So for years, I tried to find who is Patty Mills, where is she? And when I wrote my book, Murals of the Palm Beaches, I tracked her down and we became best friends. And when I spoke in Winter Haven, I went to visit her. She invited me to her house. Funny story, she had a shower curtain of a New York skyline and I said, I have to have that, and she gave it to me. So if we're talking about ceramic tile murals, this mural done by Leslie Davidson and Alex Kellington, who's no longer with us, in 2006 and 2008. Now, this particular mural, you can see it was not mosaics where they're little squares. These are all shaped. So they drew a shape and they filled it in like you might with paint. They outlined it with mirror. So of course it was the Armory Art Center. Of course it's a mural. Everybody came up to me and told me how much they loved my mural that I did not do. So what I did was I volunteered and worked on the project. So people wouldn't be so ashamed to say, oh, I love your mural, when it wasn't all mine. It was Leslie and Alex's. And this is what it looks like today on the side of the Armory Art Center, which is Art Deco. This is actually their sculpture building where they put up these windows to allow light in. And here we see the glass block, the original glass block of the Armory Art Center. And this is if you're heading south on Parker Avenue in West Palm Beach. Directly across the street is the Clare Avenue warehouse by Jorge Pardo. He's from California. He designed it and he had these people from Soul Scenic paint it. Again, it's warm and cool colors where the blues and greens are together and the reds, yellows, and oranges are isolated. So it's warm and cool, and it's really a big building and really a big mural. But when we're talking about ceramic tiles, I worked for the Boca Raton Historic Society at the Boca Express train station. And my friend Sharon had a kiln. So we worked together on his sponsor mural. There are 300 tiles. And then we had to write the names of the people who donated money, which was we didn't actually write it, we used type, but it was a learning experience and very proud of this. Here is another ceramic tile mural where kids painted on, I drew out the roses and they painted them in for Rosemont Park, a rose without thorns. And also a big landmark in Delray Beach, Florida is Pineapple Grove District. And I did the ceramic tile mural on the bases of these, this big archway, which is right near the pineapple mural that Anita did. Okay, and this was for the city of Westgate. We did a family trio. So we have, the father, the mother, the child, like the family unit of a large, medium, and small. And we did the Tona pole because it's an Indian section. It's like Osceola Park, and the Seminole Indians are all named after those streets in the city of Westgate. And down below, kids just made whatever they wanted on the tiles. But every year for 10 years, maybe 12 years now, for the city of Westgate, they have a big spring festival. And remember that screen I did alone together, where I put my screens together and I get a big mural canvas, a roll of canvas, 18 foot, which is 6 yards. A roll of canvas is 6 yards. So I draw this out, and in 4 hours, the kids come, and this was superheroes, so they were actually all dressed in superhero costumes. It was so cute. The kids come and color it in with just Crayola waterproof, water-based markers. And at the end of 4 hours, this is what it looks like. We help quite a bit. I bring volunteers with me, but it's just outstanding what hundreds of people could do in 4 hours. Keys to the City, Kathy Kretzer piano. This was an outstanding project. Copeland Davis is one of our premier piano players, and they gave artists pianos. I asked for the biggest piano, which was not a baby grand, a grand piano. My father had just passed away, so I called it Knocking on Heaven's Door, a tribute to my father, Papa Ruby. His name was Reuben, we call him Papa Ruby. And here I put keys and the keyhole, and keys like piano keys in the cities, keys to the city. I collaged the 3-dimensional glittered keys. You can't see it, but on the top is the jazz man, and I'm dressed as the jazz man for the event. Oh, I'm holding a big key here. This project, I haven't even thought about it in a long time, but I wanted to show all new pictures tonight. We did 12 chairs, Adirondack chair project with the CRA, the Community Redevelopment Agency in Delray Beach. I'm only showing you 4 here, but we did 12. It was a big color theory thing where you could see purple, blue, blue, green, green, you know, red, yellow, orange, yellow, orange. And all the things that make Delray special, like our Spady Museum, our Pompeii tribute, multiculturalism, Haitians, the turtles, lizards. And these were placed all around downtown Delray, and people would just sit on them all the time. And, you know, like a photo op, a selfie. Great, great project. Also in Delray, I worked with the Chamber of Commerce, where I ordered 15,000 flowers. I did this project twice. We took kids' art and we graphed it. We built this big frame. The city built me this big frame. It's at Veterans Park. And we interpreted the flowers. And it would be up for like 3 months. So volunteers would come and water with a hose the flowers. It's 2-sided and a big S curve. But I would have to know, how many white flowers did I need? How many yellow did I need? It's like ordering paint. It was a very unusual project, big flower mural. Another project was the Open Door Project, which was the Cultural Loop with Glenn Weiss. Here he is. And I hear he's just back now as the manager of Art and Public Places of Boynton Beach. We work with Rick Lowe from Texas. And here we see Joe Gilly from Old School Square. And here we see we're working in Old School Square. Here am I. What we did was I went and got doors, used old doors, recycled doors. People donated doors to me. We brought them to Old School Square, and we got 111 artists to paint 111 doors, front and back. And then the city installed them in like a little revolving door kind of pattern. It was across the street from City Hall, and they had to take it down for hurricane season, but it was a big tourist stop. You'd walk through and meander, you know, like a private art show of the Open Door Project. Let's not forget the giant puppets for New Year's Eve. Even though tonight's project is about murals, it's really about big public art. And there are 15 of these puppets here. We only see 4. They would march throughout downtown on New Year's Eve, and then a big fireworks display in the tennis center. There I am. They're 14-foot tall puppets on wheels. And each one, I worked with a different organization. So when you're working public art, you're working with nonprofit institutions and cultural things all the time, cultural exchanges, different museums and organizations. I was the chairperson of Public Art Advisory Board in downtown Delray, where we got this John Clement, he's from Brooklyn, New York. We put in this sculpture on Federal Highway and Linton heading north. And then of course, I love working with kids. So we invited kids and they designed, you could see designed here, and we made bus shelter art from their work. So for all of this effort, I got the Muse Award from the Palm Beach County Cultural Council. It was really quite wonderful. The Ellen Lehman Arts Education Award in 2014. And here is the little sculpture that I got. Here's the night of the event. And I just keep painting murals. This is no longer there, but this is the Ramada Hotel. Now it's a West Palm Beach Sheraton at Parker and Okeechobee. Of course, this is painted in a Cezanne style. It was called the Cezanne nightclub. And I have 2 murals at Palm Beach International Airport. They lasted 10 years. These were in the restaurant concessions. And then when the management changed, they changed the murals to nothing. But here we have the fish and the sailboats. So if you came and traveled anytime during those 10 years are up, you probably passed these murals at the bar if you stopped to have a drink. This Duffy would bring his son to my art class at the Armory. This was the early 1990s. He's one of the first murals on Clematis Street. This wall is now rotating, has murals all the time. This looks all faded, but he painted it to look vintage. And it really wasn't a mural. I don't think he had a sketch. I think he got up on the ladder and stood there and painted this, and then came down, moved the ladder, stood up and painted this. He was very good at caricatures, and he just got up there. I guess this big Pepsi was well thought out, but everything else was just whatever was in front of him, he painted. Usually scale of murals is not done that way. Usually you have one big image, and no matter where you are, you're painting the image. Richard Frank, who we also lost, did this watercolor on canvas at the West Palm Beach train station, which they're tearing down, and I really hope this gets preserved or saved in some way. This is about the train. You can see the train station and his lovely flowers reflecting Palm Beach. So what is street art? What is street art versus graffiti? Everybody knows what graffiti is. Graffiti is when you have a tag, a name, and you sign something, or you ruin something where you try to write your name over something and damage it in some way. So what is street art versus graffiti, if we're going to talk about murals? So both are usually painted with spray paint and outdoors, right? We all know the trains in Brooklyn and New York were spray painted tagged with names. So they do it quick to get in and get out because it's illegal and they don't want to get arrested. Street art is usually sanctioned, it's legal and commissioned. So we realized there are all these talented artists who are using spray paint, and they realized that art can revitalize a neighborhood, and that public art is a wonderful way to create a landmark in a city. So now, instead of putting graffiti artists in jail, they're hiring them and giving them money and what they deserve, and it's legal. Graffiti is usually tagged. It's destructive is the word I was looking for. It's destructive and illegal. Street art, if we look now, we'll see it's usually portraits, geometric portraits. But it's an open museum, it's open air to the public. And one of the criticisms I have is it's usually not site specific, meaning it might have nothing to do with the area in which it is painted. Although this is ragtops and this is about cars. This is Anthony Hernandez and Craig McGinnis. They started something with Karen Bowman called the Street Art Revolution with Eduardo Mendieta and Dahlia Perryman, where they use their talent for spray paint and are painting around town. So then Nicole Henry in 2014 brought in international street artists. So we're not talking about local artists that live and work in the area. We're talking about they bring in international artists, and it was called Canvas Outdoor Museum, and they did 10 murals all at once. So that really changed the landscape of the city, because first you have no murals and now you have 10. I have the picture of the people in here so you can see the scale. This is on Gardenia Street. Then she went the following year to Lake Worth. This is the back of the Art Deco Cultural Council building that we saw earlier. This is by Cobra, who is a well-known international artist. He has many murals, what we call street art, all over the world, including several in New York. And of course, we see Martin Luther King. So when I said it's portraits or geometrics or geometric portraits, this is what I meant, where he's painting multicolor triangles over Martin Luther King. This is there right now on the back of the building at 601 Lake Avenue. Okay, Eduardo got his friends together, and in a rainbow fashion of warm and cool, they painted a parking garage, which is really very good, the Vernon parking garage, because, you know, parking garage is a little creepy. Now they're well lit and they have art and they're fun. And you could say, oh, I parked on the yellow level. So it's a very beautiful way to beautify parking garages. This was one of my little students. She grew up, she became a mural artist. This is Latasha, they call it Latasha B. Bleimer. She painted this lovely mural you could see here on Avernia Street. And the landlord, after a few months, rented the space and they painted out the painting. We have an Art Deco lecture series held at the Armory Art Center for many years now. And right after, we go over to Howley's for dinner on Wednesday night. Which is sad because tonight we won't be doing that. But when we started, this was a little mural in the parking lot by Linnell Forrest. And then for many years, it was by Amanda Valdez. And the day that the book came out, they changed the mural. And this is what's there now, which is kind of funny. So, you know, the mural isn't about how many murals can I get in there. It's really telling the history of how all of these new murals are so widely appreciated and accepted. You know, how did that happen? Because we used to have to fight for murals. Here's a project I did at the Boys and Girls Club of America. I got an artist in residence for the artist of Palm Beach County and Art in Public Places of Palm Beach County. I drove out to Belle Glade. In fact, I just spoke to Clewiston today. I'm going to be doing a project out in Clewiston. But here I am. So I had all these kids, these teenagers, and I had a light shine against them and I had them pose their silhouette. I drew the silhouette and then they told me other elements they wanted, like lightning, stars, dollar sign. They told me other things they wanted, musical notes, and I drew that. And then they painted it, of course, in warm and cool colors. So here we see cool colors and warm. And each panel did not belong to one. It was a joint effort. So the murals belong to everyone. All the panels belong to everyone. And when it's hung as a public mural, it belongs to the community. And this is what it looks like on the Bill Bailey Community Center. In fact, I worked with Susan Mosley on that project with the Boys and Girls Club. She is when I got to know her. And it's an 80-foot mural. Okay, so we're almost done, folks. Thanks for hanging in there with me. This is Delray Beach, West Atlantic Avenue, which is the gateway from I-95 to our lovely downtown. And I could not get permission to paint on any wall. You know, people just, in these days, in the early, let's see, it was early mid-90s, people just did not want murals. So I said, look at this. You know, the phone had to be lowered for handicapped drug dealers, right? Because there was a law that handicapped phones had to be lowered. And this was just such an eyesore. And we turned it into this. Okay, let's go back. So we had two sides of the building. I got all of this removed because I fight. And I said, no, we don't want this on the wall. So we got all this removed and we turned it into this. And we planted a garden to prevent graffiti. But what this story told was the future of Delray, where restaurants and people eating outdoors and music in the streets. And it's taken from the Van Gogh painting. The other side of the wall is the historic part of Delray, where we see nostalgia for fishing and a slower time, where we see pelicans and flamingos and a more restful era. So they built a building in Palm Springs Middle School in 2007, Schenkel Schultz architect, and they built it in the Art Deco style. So this is not a historic Art Deco building. So what do you call it? So in 1980, I coined the term decometric. It's Art Deco, but it's not historic. So here we'll see the 1, 2, 3, the stepping down. We see the flat roofs. We see, I don't know if you can see it, but oh, here we go. Some racing stripes in the concrete. And I painted like, I don't know, 30 murals in the school. This is just one. I'm going to show you in detail how it started out. Here was a quick sketch. In the media center, which is a library, they wanted pictures of books. And I said, it's filled with books. Why would you want more books? But they were very clear. It was a school and they wanted more books. So I found some old Art Deco photos of ladies reading books, and there I went with it. So here we see, and I did big books for the columns, like, of course, with the 3 circles. There's Papa Ruby, there's my dad. Here we are transferring the design onto the wall. And here's a close-up of a finished product where I outline everything with a ruler, with gold or silver markers to really make it crisp. This is coats and coats of paint. This is not just one coat of paint. You can see the flatness, the richness of and depth of color. And this is what the media center looked like with the interesting floor and ceiling. Here's our 3 stripes, rounded corners. So even the desk is architecturally decometric. And Schenkel and Schultz won awards for the school. So we had a big article in the newspaper about Art Deco Society, and they call me up and they say, guess what? We're the architects of this building. You know, oh, it was about the book, right? The book came out and they said, you know, we won an award. And I went, I know, I'm the artist. They hadn't even connected that. Here's the cafeteria. So I'm in there under construction. It's the summer because school is out. You know, school didn't begin yet. And it's hot. There's no air conditioning. The sirens are going off from the alarm. They're testing alarms. And I turned it into this. Okay, this is the food line. So we see the stepping down, the 3 lines. And actually, they gave me all the wrong dimensions. So I had to double this. The design was one way, but it was needed to be doubled. You have to be very flexible when you're a mural artist and you're just working from, you know, architectural sketches. These walls were concrete block, which are so hard to paint on. You just can't paint like this. You have to dab it in little holes and give it coats and coats of paint. But here it is blocked out and the colors are dabbed. And it looked like this when we were done. And there's Papa with one of the other walls. You could see the grid of the concrete block. And here's the gymnasium. There's Jeff Locke, who worked with me on the project. You know, ladders, scaffolding, and wound up like this. But again, when we see a wall, we also, here's the side of the wall. And here's the other side of the wall, right? Because it's a grand entrance to the gymnasium. It envelops you. And one of my last projects we're going to be looking at is Art in the Alley. So Art in the Alley is a partnership of me and James and Lisa Quillian in downtown Delray Beach in an area called Osceola Park. And usually we work on fences, but in this case, we had this concrete wall facing a parking lot in Federal Highway. So the first thing I did was paint the background. And we get dozens of artists, we give them a panel and they paint whatever we want. This particular case, we had a theme because the party was going to be on Valentine's Day. So one day we have a group of people painting where I donate, you know, of course I have so much paint and materials. So I donate the paint and artists paint all day. We have food and music. And then one day we have a party, we hang the work and we have a big block party. And you know, the whole community comes out and we really improve the neighborhood. So I like when art public art improves the neighborhood. And here's the party. Here's one of the fences. Everybody was dressed in Mardi Gras. This was a Mardi Gras themed party. We have lights at night. We have music. So much fun. This year, we did not have an art in the alley. The first time. Last year, we celebrated 10 years. And the theme was Art Deco in the alley because of the Roaring 20s. So this year, a week ago, I did a Zoom of 10 years of art in the alley, detailing everything that we've done in the past. This is a picture from our cats in the alley. So here we have a group photo of the artist, and there's the party going on. And there was cats and dogs in the alley. Of course, I'm dressed as a cat. And it's just great. We're hanging art on fences in the Osceola Park district of Delray Beach. So here's my second book. And it was tough, just like this lecture. Do I do it geographically, like here's everything in Delray and here's everything in Boynton? Or do I do it by year? Or do I do it by all the fish pictures? And today I know I jumped around a bit, but it was all just to flow and make a point about how public art works with our arts organizations, which happen to be Art Deco buildings. But the chapters of the book go figures, underwater, flora and fauna, earth and above, and then abstracts. And unconventional undertakings would, of course, be the street art. So this is the first public mural in Delray, and we could not get this approved at all. But I went on to get 8 consecutive grants from the Cultural Council. This was called the Love's Drug Building. See the RX, the drugs. And it was historic. The building had this brick like from the 1950s that we call mid-century modern, but I put a little Art Deco flair. It was in the Pineapple Grove district, so we put in the pineapples. And these are 3 historic paintings from the Delray Beach Historic Society. Of course, we planted pineapples in the garden, and it was called the Neighborhood Artist in Residency Program, NARP, 1994. Here we see the plants are growing. Well, here the mural has faded. It was up, say, 20 years. The city decided to tear the building down and put up the old school square parking garage. Well, I'm a team player. Okay, what are we gonna do? So I went to the city and I said, look, we had 100 volunteers, the community, really loves this mural. Can we have a closing? And first they got scared that I was gonna try to fight them and keep the building, but no. So we invited the mayor, we invited Bill Nix from the Cultural Council. And the night before this big party, they gave us a tent, we got a cake. I said, wow, if someone's gonna destroy this mural, we're gonna be the one to do it. So I bought spray paint and everybody went out, the newspapers came and the TV came and they watched us graffiti the mural. Old school square, by Sharon.com, I love art, loves drugs. They put glasses, we were just laughing. And then I was there for the demolition. They waited for me, the truck, because I wanted to videotape it and take pictures. So I was really at the beginning, middle, end, what we call the full circle of this mural, and watched it. I still have some of these, which I gave to the Historic Society, and I have in my garden some of the bricks from the original Love's Drug mural, the first public mural in Delray Beach, probably Palm Beach County. So demolition is forever. And we show this picture when we're painting murals, and we show this picture when we're talking about architecture. When we lose something like this, it's forever. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you. That was terrific. We do have some questions.
Okay, bigger is better.
Here.
Hold on, let me unshare my screen. The dog is over. Hold on. I'm going to stop share.
There you go. Okay.
Wait, I have to get back on the Zoom.
Where do these items?
Hi, everybody. Is anybody still here? Okay.
We've still got people. Where do these items go after an exhibit?
Where do the art on the fences is still there, Art in the Alley. If you go to artinthealley.org, we have a map you can print out and drive around. It's a great COVID project. You don't want to be in a group of people, you can see Art in the Alley. One year we did trash cans. There's trash cans painted like animals in the alley. But artinthealley.org is a one website that goes into depth on that project.
What about the doors, the open doors?
The doors, oh, the doors. I have 2 doors. Artists were allowed to come pick up their door, or they had to be demolished. Someone said, oh, why didn't you have an auction? We couldn't have an auction, aside from the fact that they were heavy. And we weren't trying to raise money. It was a public art project. Volunteer came out, and again, they were more than welcome to come get their doors, and many did. I have 2 doors here in the house, one that my dad painted and one that Sean Terrell painted, that he carved one of the doors. We went to a school, Belvedere Elementary School, in West Palm, before we painted the whole school with murals. When they were demolishing the old school, we got permission, and we went in with 3 trucks and we pulled out different doors, and he had a door with a little window in it. And I have that door in my garden here.
That's pretty cool. I know Janine wanted you to go back and show some slides, but I think it's so late now. I think we're going to have to call it quits. Janine, you might have to contact Sharon and have her show you those couple of slides that you're looking for. The purple
Sure. Sharon Del Rey at Gmail.
There you go.
Sharon.com. I'm not hard to find.
There you go. Sharon, this was delightful. You are a terrific speaker.
Thank you.
I am so glad that you booked her, Susan. Thank you for doing that. And I hope everybody enjoyed the meeting, and look forward to seeing you back here May 12th for our scholarship recipients. And oh, April 28th, before I forget, April 28th is our reception for our Vibrance virtual gallery. We have a reception with awards, etc. April 28th. There will be more coming out about that. So with that, Sharon, again, thank you so much. Thank you everybody for being here. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you.
Everybody be safe. We'll see you soon.
Stay safe.
Good night. Sharon, great as usual. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon.
Yes, indeedy. That was terrific. Thank you all. Bye.
Good night.
Cut it off.
Okay, baby. Okay. Okay. Bye, Del Foxton. Bye. Whoa, stop.